Well, good morning. We
Good
are
morning.
Marty and Megan, and this is taking the interview to 11. If you haven't seen Spinal Tap, that's the first thing I'm going to tell you to do. Go see Spinal Tap. We are going to give you some tips on how to take your interview to 11 because there are some distinct things that you can do wrong, particularly in this time of video conferencing and doing your interview virtually. You really don't want to do. And I can already see my associate, Marty, are you really ready for the interview there, Marty? I mean, I'm loving the outfit and all, but I don't know.
I figured working from home, not everybody's really going to care on how I dress. I just assumed that if I'm here on my own, working remotely from home, that whoever interviews me or hires me, they're not going to care what I look like. I mean, come on. What does anybody care, right?
Okay, because
as long as I sound professional, I don't have to look professional. I'm here by myself.
Well, I think we can all see that there are a few things wrong with that assumption, Marty. One of which is you definitely want to be dressed for the interview because
really that's important.
It's going to matter because you're making an impression, Marty, and the impression that you're giving is one of a great deal of relaxation. I will give you that. You are relaxed for this interview.
But doesn't it just matter if I'm qualified for the job? I mean, what does it matter what I look like? Nobody cares as long as I can do the job, right?
Well, there is some truth to that, but honestly, they won't be able to see whether you are qualified. They won't even be able to hear if you are qualified if their very first impression is that you didn't take effort to put yourself together for the interview. So you're going to want to look professional. You're going to put a little bit of makeup on. You're going to, well, guys, please don't put makeup on. Unless you're
Any makeup? Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't think anyone would care.
Well, I think they do. And in fact, I know they do. This is something, guys, we're making fun and we're making light, but honestly, you are going to want to look professional because you're going to want to set yourself apart. What is going to set yourself apart in this new post-COVID world? It's going to be how you interview, how you look, how you present yourself.
I'm sitting up straight. Doesn't that count?
Yeah, but just a moment ago, you were slouching.
They can see that?
Yeah, they can see everything. In fact, this is probably more concentrated than even being face to face. Even if you were right in front of them, they wouldn't notice some of the things that you're doing. They would notice your outfit. That's pretty noticeable. I'm really liking the blue there, Marty. Is that a bathing suit?
Well, yeah, because I figured as soon as the interview was over, I was going to want to go swimming.
Okay. All right. Well,
that's important.
Yeah, that's important. That's important. Yes, it is. Yeah.
What if they're interviewing someone who's not as qualified as I am?
Yeah, but they're not going to be able to hear or see that because their first impression is going to shut them down. They won't even get that far. And you are qualified. What you drinking there, Marty? Is that a margarita?
Mimosa.
Mimosa.
I'm not supposed to say that in an interview, am I?
No, Marty, you're not. You're not supposed to be drinking during an interview.
But I put it in a regular glass. Yes, does that count?
Yeah, well, no.
I need help.
Yes, Marty, you need help. And so do a lot of people out there because all of you are going for the same positions. Now you're in with a bunch of other people that are also looking and you want to distinguish yourself. And this isn't the way you want to. You're distinguished. You are different from everyone else, Marty, but this is not the way to do it. Try not to scratch your nose.
You're stressing me out. I don't know. Interviewing for a job is harder than I thought. I just figured being at home, doing it virtually, all they cared about was my experience.
Eating during an interview, another really bad thing to do. Yeah, the whole crunching. I liked the bag wrinkle there. That was good. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're not going to want to do that.
You could hear that?
Yeah, we can hear everything. This is augmented.
I did not know you could hear everything.
You can hear everything.
I obviously need your help.
Coming up, Marty, that I think is really important because we're doing this virtually. I don't know if you guys can figure that out. I bet you can. We're not in the same location, but Marty's internet connection is not as strong as my internet connection. You're going to want to make sure you are in an area where your internet connection is just right. That is important because if your face freezes up, especially if it freezes up like, and you're in the middle of an explanation, that's not going to leave a great impression. It's not going to go well for you. We're kidding around and we're kind of going to extremes, but we've seen everything. And believe me, you may not interview every day, and I hope you don't. But when you do, you want to make the right impression. And we're the ones who interview every day. We're the ones who can tell you how to prepare for this interview. I mean, what have you seen? Marty, you've seen some really, really amazing stuff out there. What are some of the things?
Crazy things. Something that not everyone thinks of, even if you're interviewing remotely from home, if you own an iron, use it. The video is going to pick up everything.
Right.
Every single thing. If your fingernails are dirty, make sure you clean them.
Right.
If your hair is unkempt, make sure you brush it. These are all things that we learned about in kindergarten. We forgot them, and it's important. I have personally seen the most qualified, educated people lose out on an outstanding position for someone not quite as qualified, simply due to how they present themselves.
Exactly right. I'd love to hear. What's your funniest story?
My funniest story?
Yeah.
Is probably a very high-end business development engineer who was interviewing for a management position. He was perfect. He had several phone interviews that were not virtual, and the company flew him to the location. They were all ready to schmooze and wheel and deal, and this gentleman showed up with dirty fingernails, unkempt hair, and what I was told was one of the most wrinkled outfits they had ever seen. This gentleman had the personality that would have really brought in a lot of business to this firm. He had the education, he had the license, but because of how he presented himself in person, he lost the interview.
And let me clarify why that's important. Because what that client saw was someone who came in and that was how they were going to present themselves to future clients. That immediately was a turnoff. I don't care whether he really would have done the job beautifully. What they saw was what the client was going to see, what their clients were going to see. And if they were embarrassed, they knew their clients were going to think, who is this clown, Columbo? What in the world?
And Megan, I do want to bring something very important to the conversation, that whether it's virtual or in person, you get one opportunity to make a first impression.
That's it. That's it. You get one shot. One shot. And each opportunity that you're presented, if you're presented more than one, and you may not be, if you're presented more than one opportunity, each one is like handing you a chunk of gold. What are you going to do with it? Don't squander it. I think the funniest was, for me, was an individual who had, I mean, he had all of the business acumen, same thing. I mean, very bright man, was going for, I think he was going for a senior project management situation. Very bright man, coming from Texas, or, you know, it was either Texas or Oklahoma. They flew him in, again, same thing. And they were meeting him at the airport because they were going to pick him up, take him to the office. And this man showed up in a yellow buckskin jacket with fringe and pants with fringe and boots and a 10-gallon hat. And they immediately...
God, did he have a bolo tie?
I think he did. He had a bolo tie. I mean, he was full bore. I mean, he looked like he'd walked out of a spaghetti western. I shit you not. And they took one look at him and said, nope, get back on the next flight out. They didn't even talk to him. They just said, I'm sorry, sir. We will schedule you an earlier flight home. That was it. And well, I can't make this stuff up. You don't do it.
You know, Megan, that kind of brings, you know, how I'd like to wrap this up a little bit is one thing that you say very often is that an interview is somewhat like dating. So to piggyback off of that,
yeah,
and especially if you are in a virtual interview, it's up to you as to whether or not the person interviewing you swipes right or swipes left.
Right.
Where do you want to be?
Right. I think that's absolutely appropriate. And interviewing is like dating. You go on a first date, you go on a second date, you decide whether or not you're getting married. So treat it like that. Be prepared. Make sure you're going with the flowers and the candy. All right, well, guys, this is, and gals, I don't mean to say guys, it's like, hey, you guys, you know, I grew up in that. You know, but this is a whole lot of fun. We're going to continue to do this. We're going to give you different tips as we go along, because this is what we do. But make sure that you visit our website, cnmgroup.com. We'd be happy to speak with you for a free consultation. 15 minutes. We'll let you know what we do, how we can help you. And we've gotten great recommendations, and we want to make sure that we help you take your interview to 11. Hello, Cleveland, rock and roll. All right, guys, we'll talk.
And wait, one more thing I do want to mention. Tell all of your friends to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Take the interview to 11.
Take your interview to 11 with Marty and Megan.
Right. And if you're still stuck at home, watch Spinal Tap.
Watch Spinal Tap. All right.
Signing off.
Signing off.